What do we take for granted in this life that if we were able to strengthen and nurture and maintain could even be better? We did a presentation, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that was well received, not only by people here, but by many of y'all. And the exercise was to figure out what was bothering us inside, and so everybody else could the exercise was really to show how we're all connected, and that a lot of our problems are the same as everybody else's problems. We're not so different, and even though we think we're different, and you know, I don't think we're really that different. And so part of this today is going to be what we take for granted, how we can recognize what we take for granted, how can we nurture and better love those things so that we're able to keep them. And you know, there's a lot of things, and I was thinking about this, like what's important to me, and I sort of kind of maybe do a decent job. Like that's what I came up to. I sort of kind of maybe do a all right job at nurturing things that I take for granted. And I was like, man, you really got to do better, Kev. You know, you're looking in the mirror like, dude, you need to make some improvement. And so I started thinking about it, and the first thing that came to my mind was family. Like I take family for granted sometimes. And then I thought, well, that's really not the biggest thing. What I really take for granted is not taking the time as often as I should to meditate and pray and get connected with the divine. I was like, because every time I fail to do that, I always screw up my day. Things, you know, let stress get to me. You end up taking out that stress on the people you love. And it's crazy that happens. And I started looking around at all these people that I love that I don't know if and I think we're the same. That's why I'm talking about myself a little bit, because I think we can relate to this. Like we just had dinner with some friends. Andrew's always here. I have family in Italy, and my mom, who's awesome. She just turned, I think, 71 or 2, and she's like super gorgeous inside and out. And I'm like, you know, I don't know. I don't know if they know how much I love them. I'm like, man, I really got to do a better job. And then I start thinking, well, what else do I take for granted? I take my health for granted. I take friends, some of the material stuff, the infinite energies that surround me. I just take a lot for granted, and take some of y'all for granted sometimes. So I need to be more aware, just like all of y'all need to be more aware, and all of y'all need to be more aware. We need to be more aware of how important the love is that is around us. Like I know my buddy Robert here is the first time here, and he has some of the best parents ever. Like I've been close to his family for a long time, and wow, I know for a fact he's taken them for granted. I know for a fact he has. And how do we improve that? Like, how do we do that? Like, I was thinking, I have noticed over the past couple of weeks, I'll jump up out of bed and forget to set my intention for the day. I don't know if y'all pray in the morning or meditate, but I highly recommend it. I'll lay in bed for a little bit and I'll just set my intention. Like somebody that's irritating me, I'll think about them. Like, okay, I'm not going to let their energies affect my energies. I am going to be a better person. I'm not going to let that, I'm going to figure out a way to maneuver my day without letting that person drag me down. I'm not going to think, oh, I need to go gossip about them, or like, I don't need to. Like, I can do this through my own practice of meditation every morning by making my day better and by connecting with the energies that are all around me. And when I take that for granted, I'll get in a hurry in the morning sometimes. I'll jump right out of bed. Like, whoo, man, I got to go do something. Like, I got to go, oh, God, Ricky's waiting on me. Something's happening. I got to go do this. And then I forget, and my whole day gets all the way screwed up. Like, I can tell my energies are not right. It's easier to snap at people. Like, I can see Noah with his mullet, and I'm like, who wears their hair like that? You're just like, what is happening? And that's because I take my meditations for granted, and then I forget to do them. And then I'm realizing, like, well, okay, why am I so stressed? Because I just took that for granted, and I did not do it. And then I'm like, man, I take my health for granted. I was just talking to Dean about this with my back. I love going to the chiropractor. He makes my back feel good. And who thinks about going to the chiropractor when you're feeling great? Like, my back feels great. I don't need to go because I'm healthy. I mean, whoo, me strong. And then I forget. And then I'll sit and eat a donut. Well, I don't eat donuts, but I will eat some M&Ms. And, you know, Jill will bring those chocolate-covered almond M&Ms. She'll get a box thing of them. And, man, you know how hard it is to not walk past that and go, I mean, it's kind of hard. And I'm thinking, what are you doing to yourself? Like what? Like I'll look in the mirror sometimes when I've been eating healthy and good, and I'm like, yeah, Kev, you're looking sexy, you're in good health. And then I'll go do something totally stupid, my back will start hurting, I'll look at myself out of the shower, I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Why are you taking your bodily temple for granted? Why are you doing things that you know you're intentionally hurting yourself by doing stupid stuff? It just doesn't make any sense. And I was thinking about this. I think we all have friends that, like, if you don't see them for maybe a year or so, and then y'all just meet up somewhere, and then all of a sudden, it's like no time has ever passed. Like you just pick up right where you left off. You're like, oh man, y'all are great, and I love y'all. And then I think, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I have some friends that's happened like all the time throughout. I'm 52, so I can go 3, 4, 5 years without seeing somebody. We meet up and it's like we've never been apart. I'm thinking, why have I not stayed connected with those people? Like how long does it take to send a few second text and say, hey man, I'm thinking about you. Everything good? Or pick up the phone and call them. Like, I mean, a lot of us are close to the same age, so we've probably got a good 30 friends throughout the years we'd like to stay. Like, hey, I wonder how they're doing. Just like, why do we take all of those deep relationships that we've had over the years just for granted? We just let time go by and don't stay connected anymore. It's not that we have, we are busy with our lives. We've all go separate ways. But if we were friends with them once, and we would instantly be friends with them again if our paths cross, why wouldn't we just check on them from time to time? Just call them. Hey, man, you entered my mind. I know a lot of y'all have friends that you hadn't seen in a long time, and they'll just randomly pop into your head. But then you don't do anything. Like, you don't call them. You don't text them. You don't, nothing. But they randomly entered your mind. I think in those moments, we should just pause and not take them for granted and say, hey, they just entered my head. Hadn't thought about them in a while. Let me just let them know I was thinking about them. I think it's a good practice. I think it's a really good practice. And periodically, I walk around out here a lot, and we always have people here swimming and meditating and picnics and cooking out and sitting around bonfires and talking and laughing, crying. I can't tell you how many times me and Ricky have bawled our eyes out together or hugged and laughed until our stomachs hurt. It's a lot. And I can walk around here just being zoned out, taking a morning walk with my dogs and just totally take for granted that I've been fortunate enough to offer this place to the world, to come out here and have picnics, sing, dance, all those things. And that happened to me. I realized this like 2 days ago when I was walking. I was like, you know what, Kevin, you should not ever take anything for granted, like especially even this place. Like, it's offered so many people comfort and relaxation and getting in tune with nature. There's a lot of things that we take for granted. One thing we take for granted is free speech. And what are you going to do? Like, there's a lot of things we take for granted. I did not know this was a thing. I went to John F. Kennedy's 50th year anniversary of his assassination in Dallas. And they really, I didn't know this. It was a wide opening, mind-blowing experience, no pun intended with JFK, but they had these parking spaces, and they had each parking space and way far away from Dealey Plaza where the assassination took place, and that was where you could have free speech. You could not have free speech anywhere around Dealey Plaza. It was the most insane Orwellian 1984 thing I've ever seen. And just a couple of blocks away, people are at the West End, walking around thinking they're just absolutely bathing in freedom. But 2 blocks away, you had worldwide press that could not go cover the event because they had their own free speech zones. And now that's happening all over this country, like all over the country. You want to have free speech? You go do it over there where nobody's paying attention. It's kind of scary. So we take that for granted for damn sure. And this cancel culture that we live in, like last Sunday's video, it was, I got a warning from YouTube that it was against policy that all we talked about were things that everybody should be talking about, in my humble opinion. It's something. It's something that we should be able to protect ourselves. You know, the First and Second Amendment were not created, they weren't created under the premise of, oh, somebody's going to be offended, so we better not do that. It's good to be offended, because being offended allows us to examine ourselves and why we feel the way we do about certain things. If we can't examine ourselves, like, oh, I'm really offended by that, just cancel him. Cancel him, I'm calling and complaining, cancel him. How will we ever get to the truth of anything if that's the case? It's going to be a scary circumstance. And then I started thinking, man, where do we start? Like, how do we start? Like, how do we, I think, doing things like this, coming together. Like, I had the most fun time. I can't remember if it was last weekend or the weekend before, where we were playing music with Joan. Wow, was that so much fun. This beautiful soul of a person just said, hey, let's play the guitar. So, you know, somehow it just came up, let's sing. And she's just dancing, and it caused all of us to start dancing and playing, and we're just jumping and singing. I'm like, that's where we start. That's where we start communication. Like, that's how we start interacting. We start interacting by getting together and talking like we do here about all these crazy subjects. Are utilizing the orchard, being in nature and actually seeing the blueprint that Mother Nature gave us to live and survive. Like everybody, even y'all watching that are all nearby, I know there's a bunch of y'all out here in Caddo Lake and Karnak. Y'all watch me regularly and you want to come, but you're scared, fearful. Oh, I wonder if I like those people. Oh, of course you're going to like us because we like you. Come on out. We have an orchard. It's like 400 trees. We just go out there and prune them. Whoever comes and helps us prune in the springtime, as long as the bird, this year we had a horrible time with birds, but you can come out, take the fruit. It's fun. It's relaxing. Take your shoes off. Come get to know. Like, and then every Wednesday we get together for self-defense stuff. If we are not emotionally working on having self-defense for our emotions, having intellectual self-defense, physical self-defense, all of those things to make us a well-rounded person, we're going to be lopsided. We're always going to be walking with a intellectual and emotional limp. And that's just stupid. It's ignorant. We have all the tools. Infinite intelligence gave us all these tools, and I believe we should use them. And it's important. And I think about this place because some of y'all that are new, over the years, this place has afforded me personally that I was going to talk. Ricky's going to be my partner in this exercise. But we've had people from all over the world come here. From Israel, my buddy from California who's a Navy SEAL. We call him Swiss because he's from Switzerland. I was able to go to India because of this place. And my buddies coming here from India. I would have never made friends with these people in the Middle East if it weren't for this place. And my boys over there from Sweden and Italy and Israel holding up the wine. None of those things would have happened. And so I take that for granted that I don't talk and love them enough. So I hope y'all don't make the same mistakes I have made by not reaching out to people that you care about. Now, some people you care about, but they're rude and they have bad energy. Maybe you just it's kind of hard to love on somebody that has bad energy and that's negative. That doesn't mean you have to hang out with them and just, you just have hope. You give them a little drip, hopefully that over time I can love you from afar. And then maybe whenever you are able to work on yourself without any judgment, all right, you're open. My arms are open for you when that happens. But in the meantime, I don't want to be around negative energy. At least I don't. That's how I see it. So we're going to do a little exercise. Man, you came at the right day, Robert. You're going to love this because you're going to do it without your girl. So that's what we were saying. A couple of weeks ago, we got together and did this great exercise. Today, we're going to pick a partner. And it doesn't matter if you know them or not. You can do it with your girl. I'm just messing with you. And so everybody at home, if you want to do this, you just feel free. This is what we're going to do. We're going to pick a partner. We're going to take turns share. This is kind of an exercise, two-part exercise, because we're going to take turns sharing what we sometimes take for granted. And this is really important. We're going to practice the art of listening to the other person without thinking about ourselves. I think that's really important because somebody else will be talking and they'll share themselves with us, and the only thing that we're thinking about is ourselves and how we're going to respond or what we're going to say. Let's not even think about what we're going to say. Let's only think about, I want to listen and be connected with that other person and hear what they sometimes take for granted. And then we're going to all get in a little circle real quick, and then we're going to share what are we going to do to not take that for granted anymore. Not only are we going to recognize what we sometimes take for granted, we're going to offer up a personal solution instantly. What am I going to do in my life that I'm going to not do anymore? Like I don't text some of my friends. I don't call them sometimes. Like my mom, I take my mom for granted. It irritates me that I do that. So I'm sorry, Mom. I know you watch this and you know I love you. I'm sorry you didn't make it today. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm thankful that all of y'all stayed to this video, this length, and practice this. This was really fun. And if you're in the local area, which most of y'all are that watch, come out. We're here every Sunday. 1:15, not 1:30, just 1:15. That's when we get together. 1:15. All right. Let me say that again. Some of y'all, even in the audience. 1:15. I love y'all. We'll see you next time.